So, where were we here? Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 14. Continued. Srila Rupa Goswami, no, wait a minute. Actually, it's back here. Here we go. The spiritual master must never be carried away by an accumulation of wealth or a large number of followers. A bona fide spiritual master will never become like that. But sometimes, if a spiritual master is not properly authorized and only on his own initiative becomes a spiritual master, he may be carried away by an accumulation of wealth and large numbers of disciples. His is not a very high grade of devotional service. If a person is carried away by such achievements, then his devotional service becomes slackened. One should therefore strictly adhere to the principles of disciplic succession. In other words, one needs two things to become guru. One is the order of his guru, and the other thing is the blessings of Krishna Darshan. Without these two qualifications, one should not become guru. We've seen it. Our God brothers, they became guru artificially, without the direct order of their guru, our guru, Srila Prabhupada. In fact, just 6 months before Srila Prabhupada passed away, there was a conversation where he's talking with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and he's going over the qualifications of a pure devotee. And Tamal says, well, at that rate, it's going to be years before any of us becomes qualified. Srila Prabhupada says, yes. Yes. And, you know, even in my case, I had an order from Srila Prabhupada, but it still took me another 20 years to become anywhere as near qualified. I'm still not qualified, I don't think. A spiritual master should have all kinds of qualifications in leadership ability and management ability and so many things, but I guess we'll just have to be satisfied with a small number of disciples. That's all right. A Krishna-conscious person, being naturally purified, has no need of developing any other purificatory process of thought or action. On account of his being highly elevated in Krishna consciousness, he has already acquired all the good qualities and is following the rules and regulations prescribed for the mystic yoga process. Such rules are automatically practiced by the devotees. A concrete example is the quality of non-violence, which is considered a good qualification. A devotee is naturally non-violent, and therefore doesn't have to practice non-violence separately. Some people seek purification by joining a vegetarian movement, but a devotee is automatically a vegetarian. He doesn't need to practice separately in this matter or join any society for vegetarians. He's automatically a vegetarian. There are many other instances showing that a devotee need not practice anything but Krishna consciousness. All the good qualities of the demigods automatically develop within him. Those who are intentionally practicing to be vegetarians or to become non-violent may have good qualifications by a material estimation. But these qualifications are not sufficient to make them devotees. A vegetarian is not necessarily a devotee, nor is a non-violent person. But a devotee is automatically both vegetarian and non-violent. We must conclude, therefore, that vegetarian or non-violence is not the cause of devotion. You see, this is getting at a more subtle point here. In other words, we strive to develop good qualities, like become vegetarians or quitting intoxication. And there's been some discussion on the forum about quitting smoking, quitting coffee, quitting this, quitting that. Okay, these are good qualities. But they are not the cause of devotional service. Remember we were discussing last night, devotional service is its own cause and its own effect. Because only bhakti yoga is completely on the transcendental platform. You see, other forms of yoga, for instance, hatha yoga or shtanga yoga or kriya yoga or this or that, kundalini or whatever kinds of yoga, are on more or less the bodily platform or the mental platform. And the proof of this is that when you achieve the object of your yoga practice, you give up the practice. You don't do the practice anymore. See? But in Bhakti Yoga, we have 9 processes of devotional service: hearing, chanting, remembering, and so on. And we're doing those now. And then when we reach the spiritual world, when our sadhana is complete, what are we going to be doing? Hearing, chanting, remembering, and so forth. The same activities. Huh? The only difference is we'll be doing in the spiritual world instead of the material world. But also, as we discussed, if you're really in Krishna consciousness, you don't see the material world as material, you see it as spiritual energy, energy of Krishna. So there's no need to practice anything else. There's no need to artificially renounce or artificially practice these different things. Just practice devotional service, and all these good qualities will automatically manifest. In this connection, there is a story in the Skanda Purana about a hunter who was converted into a great devotee under the instruction of Narada Muni. When the hunter became a perfect devotee, he was not prepared to kill even an ant. Parvata Muni, a friend of Narada's, saw the wonderful transformation of the hunter by devotional service, and he remarked, "My dear hunter, your unwillingness to kill even an ant is not very astonishing. Any person who develops the devotional attitude has all the good qualities automatically manifested in his person. A devotee is never a cause of distress to anyone." Well, I'd like to make a billboard of that and put it out in front of every ISKCON temple. A devotee is never a cause of distress to anyone. Huh? So where's all this politics and all this kicking devotees out and all this child molestation and all this stealing and drug dealing and murder and all this? Where does this come from? This is not devotee activity. This is something else. A devotee is never a cause of distress to anyone. Then why is it that the average devotee in ISKCON only lasts 2.5 years? If they weren't feeling distress, why are they leaving? So a real devotee is never a cause of distress. Sometimes we have to give strong instructions. Sometimes people will post nonsense things on the forum, and we have to be firm with them to protect the community. But other than that, what are we doing that's painful to anybody? Sometimes we give instructions. Like, you should think this way, you should look at this way, you should do this, you should do that. But if somebody doesn't want to do it, what can we do? We're not going to beat them. So try to understand. Devotee is not a source of pain or suffering or anxiety to anyone. A devotee is giving devotional service, which is the solution to all problems. He's not making more problems for anyone. That's not devotee. Devotee is giving the solution to all the problems. Here, chant this mantra. Do this devotional service. Realize Krishna, your greatest, most wonderful friend. Realize Krishna. So, what is this? It means that there's some people who are dressing like devotees, talking like devotees, acting like devotees superficially. But then when it comes really right down to it, they're not devotees at all. They're doing something else in the name of being devotees. Otherwise, why would they cause other people distress? I experienced so much distress at the hands of my godbrothers. I can't tell you. It's like every day was something. You know, I used to loathe going to the morning program, just because I was going to have to see so many people who had caused me distress. I remember that. You know, it's like that for everybody. I'm not the only one who feels like that. Everybody who's been in an ISKCON temple for any length of time, they feel like that. And I'm sorry to have to say these things. I don't want to say these things. but it's necessary in order to distinguish the real devotees from the phony devotees. A devotee is never a cause of distress to anyone. Sri Rupa Goswami affirms herein that purification of consciousness, purification of bodily activities, austerities, peace of mind, etc., all become automatically manifest in the person who is engaged in devotional service. Now I don't have any distress. I'm associating with these nice devotees. I don't have any distress. My mind is peaceful. Sri Rupa Goswami affirms herein that there are 9 different kinds of devotional service, which are listed as hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping the deity in the temple, praying, carrying out orders, serving Krishna as a friend, and sacrificing everything for him.